kicking it out of the box. All right, that's a phrase. Okay. Yeah. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So today I have a product review video for you guys. So recently I purchased these Gansai Tambi Starry colors from the brand Kuretake. And they're super fun and I'm super excited to try these out and share my opinion of them with you guys. So let's look at the box here. We have Gansai Tambi Starry colors set of watercolors, and it's a 6-color set, and of course it is by the brand Kuretake, which I use their brush pens a lot, but I've never used their watercolors. So looking at the back, it just lists color names and kind of how you should activate your watercolor when you first get it, just by giving it a little water. And here I paid $20 for it. Currently on Amazon it's listed for about $11, $12, so I will leave a link to that in the description box below if you want to get your hands on these. So let's get right into the box and see what we have to work with. So they come in this thin plastic cardboard box that showcases each color, and then they come out in this kind of flimsy cardboard palette, and it lists each of the color names. We have blue gold, red gold, yellow gold, champagne gold, light gold, and white gold, which is really kind of like a sterling silver type of color. Now, I was debating whether to get these or the Finetech watercolors, and the Finetech were a lot more expensive, and some of the reviews I saw said really the only main difference is the quality of the palette is a little bit different, but the paints are kind of similar, so I decided to go with these. So here are all the pans that come in this set. So a closer look at each pan, just showing it does have a slightly textured surface. On the back of the box it did say that this was common, just because of the nature of the watercolor and the micro little pieces that make the watercolor actually metallic will give it that textured surface. And it's actually kind of useful when it comes to picking up pigment. It's a little harder to pick up pigment if the surface isn't textured and there's nothing for the brush to grip on, but these are very textured, so there's no problem loading your brush up with a ton of pigment. So they all come in a fairly large rectangular plastic pan that feels fairly quality, and it does seem like there's a lot of paint in each one. Definitely not something you'll be running through extremely quickly. So I think I'll get a lot of use out of these before I have to buy them again, and at the price I am totally okay buying a whole nother set if I run out. So once again, before I swatch these, here are all the colors in their cardboard pan. So here I'm just going to set up a piece of watercolor paper with a couple different lines so we can later test how opaque these are, just to see the opacity and see how well they cover up certain areas, or just how streaky they are. So I did 3 lines and then 8 dots, just to kind of see coverage-wise what these paints are like. So let's get right into the swatching of these, but first we need to activate them. On the back of the box it said you can just activate them with a little bit of water, just like any watercolor, before you start using them. So I took my dropper and some fresh water and just put a couple drops on top of each pan, and this just helps to kind of loosen up the watercolor before you go in with your brush. I'd recommend wetting it down and then kind of maybe stretching your paper or getting that ready, and then they'll be activated by then. And then here I just kind of move the water around to get the whole pan kind of warmed up, I guess. So let's get right into swatching these. So first off, we have the blue gold. Now, this is a very pretty gold color. When I first saw the palette, I was very excited for this color, and when I started swatching, I didn't put any new water on my brush, and I realized I needed some. So from here on, I wet my brush and then go into those partially damp palettes, and oh my gosh, pans, that's the word, and I get a lot of water on it and load up the brush. So the blue gold was very nice. I did have a little bit of trouble getting a incredibly smooth, even wash of color. It wasn't too bad though. It's not the worst that this set has. So this is the red gold, and I am not a big fan of red, but this is, I don't know why, I'm very attracted to this color. It's probably the richest of all the colors in this palette, and it did give a fairly smooth, saturated wash of color. Wasn't too streaky and was fairly even overall. So now moving on to the yellow gold. Now this I thought would be my least favorite color of all, and it is my least favorite color value, I guess, but this whatever's in this pan behaves the best out of all the paints. It's the smoothest, most even wash of color out of all these palettes, and it gave me a smoother wash of color than some of my regular watercolors do, so big plus on that. Here we have the champagne gold. Now I really like this color. It was a little streaky. It wasn't too bad, like I said. It wasn't awful or anything, but it was a little more on the streaky side. But I really did like the color. It was like a muted gold. So here we're moving on to the light gold, and this is where I got a little bit disappointed. So far I had loved this set, but this color was just meek. It was very streaky, and it was just kind of sad looking. Like there wasn't a lot of pigment to it. It just kind of looked like glitter and water. So not a huge fan of that one, but I could use it for highlights on like cheekbones and things like that. And lastly, we have the white gold, which is this silver color, and while it doesn't register all that great on camera, it did give an incredibly smooth wash of the pigment, and it was very metallic. When I hold them up close to the camera, my camera keeps wanting to like jump the exposure because there's so much reflecting off of it. So here are all my straight swatches of every color. Like I said, some were more streaky than others. That yellow gold in the middle was the cleanest of all. It gave such a clean wash of color. I was very impressed with that. If it was only a little bit lighter or darker, I'd probably use it more often than I will, but I did really like it. So here you can tell my camera's doing some weird things when the light reflects. But yeah, here's that red gold. Like I said, a fairly nice smooth color. And wash. It was a very coppery color, so I could see myself using it in the future. That yellow gold is just outstanding. It's so smooth and such a flat wash. That light gold, I don't know. I don't like it. It's really streaky and faint color-wise, and it was probably the least reflective out of all of them, so yeah. And there's that silver, which is very reflective. So here I'm just testing the opacity of all the paints. And just seeing how well they cover. Now, most of them did about the same as this blue gold, this first swatch. It did okay. It didn't like cover it up or anything, but then again, it's watercolor, so what do you expect? Now, the red gold did really well covering up the fine lining lines. You can still see them, but it did cover them up quite a bit. It's a pretty opaque pigment, so that's a really nice color, and I'm going to use it more often. Now, once again, the yellow gold is just kicking it out of the box. All right, that's a phrase. Okay. Yeah, it's doing a really great job. It's probably the most opaque, cleanest wash. It's super saturated. It's fun to use. Will I use it more often? No. The color's kind of obnoxious, but I really like how it feels. And then moving on to this champagne gold. This did actually better than I was expecting. It did about as good as the red gold, and yeah, it was weird. I wasn't expecting it when I looked at the palette. I thought that and the light gold would be the least opaque, and I was right about the light gold, but the champagne actually did pretty well. And like I expected, this light gold really doesn't do much. The black just pops right through like a sore thumb. It's not opaque at all, so once again, won't be using that one. And then the white gold silvery color actually did pretty well. You can see it a little more than some of the others, but then again, this is a really light color, so I was very impressed with how opaque that was for the color value that it had. So these are my opaque swatches. As you can see, they did range in opacity a little bit, but once again, that yellow gold just blew my mind. It was amazing to work with. So I have to say, I really, really, really enjoyed playing with these paints. So these are all my swatches in all their glory. They're so much fun and they're so metallic. I would definitely recommend these to anyone looking to buy metallic paints. They're super affordable and super worthwhile. So if you're interested, like I said, I will be leaving a link to the Amazon page so you can buy these in the description box below. And like always, if you like today's video, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a future video, and like this video if you enjoyed it, and comment in the comment section below if you have suggestions for new videos or you just want to chat.